Hey going guys, so in this video we're going to talk about the Zoho Champion. So I've done a little bit of a clickbait here for you guys, and I want to just express to you why do I call it the Zoho Champion, what does Zoho Champion mean, and why do you even need one? Over the years of implementing Zoho for many different clients, I've noticed that when I've dealt with certain clients that aren't fully embracing the system or they handball the system to someone else to configure. Someone like myself, for instance, they might turn to me and say, hey, can you configure it all? And then I kind of get it all set up for them, send it to them, and then they test it. What I find is that sometimes they come back and they come back and then they come back, and then all of a sudden they have this kind of loophole where they get stuck in this vortex of just consistently not actually knowing what's going on. And some of the questions that they keep asking me time and time again seem to be repetitive questions or similar topic questions that we've already covered once before. It's extremely important for you guys to have someone in your organization become what I call the Zoho Champion. That person is the person who is going to embrace the Zoho system, and they are going to be the person that will actually spend all of their time, energy, and effort throughout every single day of the week being the core person that everyone goes to for questions. They are the person that will reach out to someone like myself and ask questions that they're not sure about the system. They are the ones that will hold monthly, weekly, or fortnightly meetings, or quarterly, or every 6 months with your team to learn how they can better systemize your business. And then they'll aggregate those questions in an open setting, and they'll ask all of these questions with everyone else around so that everyone understands that these are questions that they might have and they're getting answered. And most of the questions, you'll be surprised, will probably likely be answered in that actual meeting. Then, whatever doesn't get answered, they can either one, opt to go and research that themselves, or two, that Zoho Champion can then bring those questions to someone like myself and then ask me what are the questions, what are the answers to these questions. Now, as with everything in Zoho, I don't know the answer for every single question. So if they come to me with a series of questions, I may take 1, 2, 3 days to respond while I pen the investigation or research around that specific topic. But that then allows your Zoho Champion to then carry out the work that they need to carry out for your organization so that they're not wasting too much time in trying to configure the system and not actually bring in, more work for the business. I do not expect the Zoho Champion to be working 8-hour days on Zoho, but I do expect them to probably do somewhere in the vicinity of maybe 1 to 2 hours a week in configuration, asking questions, ensuring the system is set up correctly, and new potential functions that could be deployed inside the system to help the business move forward. So to cap it all up, this is a very important role for whoever's going to take this on. You do not give this to a staff member who started only 3 weeks ago in your organization, because you are likely to have a stifled implementation. You're also likely not to know whether they're going to enjoy or embrace that new setup. And more importantly, that person likely hasn't been in the organization long enough to probably know how the system goes together anyway, and your business. So they're not only learning your business, but then they're learning the system, and that's likely to lead to a failed implementation. Depending on the size of your organization, I do not recommend the CEO or the director of the company being the Zoho Champion. If you're a small business with 1 to 5 staff, then maybe that's what it's going to have to be, and that's fully acceptable, as the business may fluctuate in staff as time goes on, and you're probably unlikely to have some kind of solid management in place. This way, they don't get emotionally involved when certain functionality needs to change, and also it means that they don't get too emotionally involved in heading and railroading down a specific path to get something done that may not actually eventuate into a solid outcome for the business. Time and time again, I do see sometimes the founder of the business or the CEO of the business definitely gets railroaded down a path where they want to implement all of this extra stuff, and no matter what happens, it is their ultimate goal, and they have to do it as like a speeding bullet out of Japan, and that's just not always the case. These things take time, and automation takes time. If it's done wrong, you'll end up with a failed implementation. Most of my clients right now are all coming from old partners that have been in the game for a while, and they've just had enough of them because they're not sure whether their system's set up correctly, or my clients are coming to me because they have done it themselves as a DIYer and they've been trying to build the system out, but they've butchered it and they've built their business to such a point that they've relied so much on how their system was configured that now they're trying to scale beyond that and leverage more apps because now they have more time and more money to invest into the software. But because they've had a stifled implementation and they haven't followed the right core foundation and fundamentals, they've led themselves down a dead-end path. I'm definitely not saying that you need to find someone like myself who does a full implementation from the ground up, although that is one key that will help you have a successful implementation. But what I do recommend is that you at least as a minimum find someone like myself as a consultant that might not actually do all of the work. They might just be there as an advisor only in order to ensure that the system is actually getting configured in the correct manner and you can bounce ideas off of them. You'll be surprised how many of my clients prefer to use me for that than they do for me to do the implementation, because there's a lot of drag and drop features in Zoho that allow you to do everything yourself, and there's plenty of YouTube videos out there that show you this stuff. However, sometimes you just need someone to just be able to pick up the phone or send them an email or possibly even jump on a Zoom call and share your screen and go, what do you think about this? And can you logically give me a good answer as to whether or not I'm heading down the right path or the wrong path? And could you potentially show me 1, 2, or 3 different ways that this could be achieved and which way you would recommend? So just remember, guys, while I wrap this video up, thank you very much for tuning in so far. If you don't have a Zoho champion in your organization, please go and find that person now and sit down with them and tell them what the goals and objectives are. Over the next few months, I'm going to roll out a bit of an action spreadsheet for everyone so that they can follow something tangible that's going to allow them to be able to assign a role to a Zoho champion, and it's going to give them tasks in order to search and look for certain things that they need to do to make the system better. With all of my new clients coming on board that have come from existing partners before or DIYers, I have noticed that a lot of you guys do not have a lot of the core fundamentals in place. And this saddens me because this is one of the main things that makes Zoho so easy to work with, and also what's going to make you love the software even more. And some of those basic fundamentals are not in place. And I just feel like some of you guys are definitely in that position where you're thinking, I need to go find another software system that looks better. Or Zoho might be advertising Zoho Begin to you, which looks good on the surface and feels better than Zoho CRM. So then I'm getting clients considering switching to that option instead, but they're just not really sure that the CRM is the right thing for them when really it is. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value from this. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I look forward to working with you in the future.